I hardly ever drive the simulator.
It's a very well-known fact. If there's one aspect of Formula One Lewis Hamilton does not enjoy, it is of course the simulator work that goes into every single Formula One weekend, as well as during the off-season when they're testing out the latest version of the upcoming Formula One car. But that might be slightly changing with his arrival at Ferrari. And in an era of Formula One from which all of his competitors are pretty much engaged within the world of virtual reality in terms of all these sims that they race back in their homes and whatnot, it is vital Hamilton spends a little bit more time than he is accustomed to in the simulator. And that's the very great point when it comes to Ferrari's very unique and immersive simulator that they have in Maranello. And from all the accounts that have been gathered so far, Hamilton has been very impressed with the simulator there, going on record unofficially as stating it's far more advanced and more realistic than the simulator he drove with the Mercedes team for the last 12 seasons. And that's not really surprising when you do a little bit of research behind the simulator in Ferrari. So, for a little background, Ferrari's simulator has been in partnership with Dynisma, which is a simulator company based near Bristol in Western England, which was founded in 2017 by Ash Warne. Interestingly, a former Formula One engineer who worked between both McLaren and the Italian team. So this person that started and formed this new company has a history working within the sport and some of the top drivers. But what sets this simulation rig apart from all of the others on the Formula One market? Well, it is the most important aspect of the whole reason that the teams have simulation tools. And rather than me explain it, I will let the experts from Dynisma do that for you.
So in simulators, latency is the delay between something happening with the simulated vehicle model, for example the back end of the car stepping out, and the motion system providing that feedback to the driver. In the real car, that latency isn't there. As soon as the car moves, the driver's able to feel it. Other simulators add latency of several tens of milliseconds, which is effectively slowing down the driver's reaction time. And what this means is that they're not able to control the simulated vehicle as they would be able to the real one. But it's particularly problematic if we're thinking about a very unstable or oversteery car. Dynisma's extremely low latency removes this problem and means that the driver is able to drive the simulated vehicle on the edge just like they would be able to in reality.
In order for the simulator to be useful, it needs to display good correlation to the real race car. This means that the vehicle model has to be accurate, but also the motion platform and the visuals need to be giving the drivers the same cues as they feel in reality. And this is an area where the Dynisma motion generator really excels.
And it is not just Ferrari that have chosen to use this particular simulation tool. McLaren as well have one which they've been using for the past season. So it seems that what we have seen with McLaren in terms of going out on track and having a fantastic car to drive out of the blocks and not having to do too much setup changes is in part thanks to this simulation model that this new company that was founded in 2017 provides to their drivers. And of course it's the same with Ferrari. Back in the day, I can always remember Ferrari were starting a little bit on the back foot, and it was taking them a few practice sessions to get up to speed in terms of what setup they need for a particular track at a given weekend. Well, that is no longer the case. And of course, with Hamilton having joined and notoriously hating simulator work, it is quite a testament to not only the company but Ferrari choosing to utilize it that Hamilton seems to, from all recollection we can get with regarding statements unofficially, that he's actually enjoying his time within the simulator. And of course, in this era of Formula One with ground effect cars, it is very, very important that you can hit the ground running with a setup which is very much tuned in, because as we all know, these cars are extremely sensitive to every small minute setup change that you make. It can have a huge drastic change in terms of the balance and performance of the car through, the curves, right, and the bumps, and just the general layout of a circuit and the contrasting speed ranges of corners. And so it's very imperative that a team gets to a track, gets to a race weekend, and they can hit the ground running, which is what this simulation tool can do. And of course, I've got loads of pictures to showcase what this simulation tool looks like. Now, if we compare it to Mercedes, you can see there is quite a drastic difference in not only the infrastructure, but the way in which it is actually kind of set up and how it all works. The rig basically is very different. And essentially this simulator has a chassis which is connected to an electromechanical system controlled by these dedicated computers. And these programs can run developing complex models to replicate the behavior of the single-seaters and the characteristics of the circuits, much greater to a degree than that of what all of the other teams have. And they also can reproduce the stresses to which a real cockpit is subjected to. So it is a very high complex piece of machinery that both Ferrari and McLaren have, and I'm sure it gives them quite an edge at a Formula One race weekend. And this is where we get the correlation issues between the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull. They've had issues with their correlation tools not really showing what's happening in the virtual world or what's happening out on track, because their tools are just not that sophisticated to be able to bring and utilize it on a race weekend. And it's why teams such as Aston Martin, who have been using the Mercedes wind tunnel, and I'm guessing maybe the simulation tools, I'm not really sure on that point, are looking to build all of their own in-house, in-campus facilities, because of course that's the way to go. And it's just a really nice, interesting thing to see with regarding Hamilton, and a slight change of approach potentially, because it is something he has to do. I think in this era of Formula One racing, with his competitors being very much online in terms of simulations and sims, it is something he has to do because they're constantly online driving the tracks, and it is just a completely different era from when he began. And of course you always have to change and get with the times, and I think that's what this simulator tool in Ferrari will enable him to do. So yeah, I will wrap this video up here. Hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, do of course leave a like, share it around all the social media, and if you are new and have enjoyed the content, do hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for all future content on the channel. Right guys, I'll catch you all later this week with some more Formula One videos. See you then.